Stamina is better. Mental clarity is by far better because I was in a fog for almost 2 years. I really was. And, you know, I was never that way, but, up to that point. I always had good mental clarity. And so, and then along the way, somewhere along the way, my doctor says, he says, you have a heart murmur. I said, I do. I've never had one in my life. This was about a year ago. And he had a young physician assistant. He goes, hey, you want to hear a heart murmur? So anyway, I was the guinea pig of the day, but all that means is that's just a noisy valve, right? So that means your heart may be weakening in some respect. The last time I saw him about a month ago, I said, well, how's the heart murmur doing? He goes, let me check. He says, it's there, but I can barely hear it. So I'm thinking, I hope this continues, right?
Hey, Paul, thanks so much for coming to spend time with me today.
Happy to be here.
Well, I'm happy to hear your story. So, can you start off just by telling the listeners a little bit about how you were feeling prior to coming to QHS?
Well, 2.5 years prior to coming to QHS, I was recovering from two cancers. I had prostate cancer and multiple myeloma, which is a bone marrow cancer. And, so I had the bone marrow cancer in 2020, but I didn't get treatment until 2021 because I had to deal with the prostate cancer first. But the problem is the chemo is what, that's harsh. Chemo is harsh. Even though it's a 4-month chemo program, I was in remission after the first month. So yay, but I still had to go through the other 3 months.
Oh,
Yeah. So I was recovering all of 2022 and doing well. And it did, but I'll tell you, Tracy, chemo is horrendous. It just devastates you. I couldn't even climb my stairs to the second floor of my house. But all of that over time. So my wife and I, we've been both meditators for 50 years. We started when we were married in 1972. We were pretty darn healthy and feeling pretty good about life in general. And so this really was my kick in the butt. Hope I can say that because it really put me down. So we're fans of Alex Collier. And back in April of last year, he mentioned the device that he had, the black device, because my wife and I were thinking, we've got a lot of years left to live. I mean, I turned 76 this month. And I'm going, yeah, I'd like to tack a few more onto that. So Alex starts talking about his device. It was April 29th, 2 days, I think, before you closed membership the last time. So we hopped on and both signed up. Okay, of course, we didn't get the black device we got in July and held that for about 3 months. And then the white device arrived in October. So I've had the white device for almost 3 months. I guess the 18th of January will be 3 months. But during that time, I noticed a lot of improvement. Okay, I mean, things were improving before, but I'm a diabetic. I'm a type 2 diabetic. Okay, and so one of the things I started noticing with the white device is arrival. Well, let me explain further. Every diabetic is different. My type 2 diabetes is different because my pancreas is producing insulin. It's that my body is not accepting it. That's the problem. So my cells need to be more receptive to the insulin I'm producing. So I started noticing a better sensitivity to the insulin that I'm taking because, I wear an insulin monitor. I can measure myself any time of the day I want to and get a beautiful curve about where my blood sugar is. I started noticing that I was crashing a lot because I was using too much. My doctor's recommended doses were overdosing me. And so I'd wake up in the middle of the night, with blood sugar in the 40s. And, so you got to really gobble some juice down to get it back in line. So I was doing that a little too often. Of course, my doctor gave me the permission to adjust as I need to. And so I just started backing off of the Lantus, the main slow-acting insulin. So I've backed off about 25% since then, and all of a sudden I've stopped doing that. But I've also noticed that heretofore, I used to have to eat enough before I went to bed so that I could last through the night, so it wouldn't just curve down and crash on me. Well, that doesn't happen anymore because as soon as I take my long-term insulin, I flatline for the rest of the night. It doesn't go up, it doesn't go down, it just flatlines. So I'm working on that now because that's showing me another phase of my healing that I haven't noticed before. So, and when I have to take a rapid acting insulin, uh, it acts really quick. It's not a slow move on the growth. I mean, it just bam, I'm done. So I have to watch that. So I'm back in the middle of gauging and triangulating what this means. Okay. So my primary care physician knows about quantum healing. I told him, I showed him my device, and he's very interested. So he and I are just talking about this program together as I go through these changes. Okay. Um, so that is that's a big deal because that affects my entire system, right? And it affects my longevity. So I'm really happy about that. And of course, I had, from the cancer and the recovery, I had stamina issues, you know, and I still have some cancer treatments going on because what I have, the particular cancer that I have, the multiple myeloma, it is, you don't cure it. It comes back every 5 or 6 years, okay? And so yeah, in fact, I'm still getting an immune globulin because I wasn't making enough, and I'm just below normal until last time, 2 weeks ago. All of a sudden, over a year, I finally got to the normal range. Now, one data point does not a trend make, right? So now I got to make sure that I'm still there. But I still have to take an immune globulin by infusion because I have a port, and I'm really getting tired of that. I do that every 6 weeks. And unfortunately, my oncologist demanded that I get jabbed with the vax. And so, at the time, I was really skeptical because I had read a lot about it. And, my wife's, a retired nurse. And we both talked about it. And I said, I don't really know what to do here. And I said, well, at the time, we didn't know if it would hurt, harm, or whatever. So we went ahead and did it. But only did it only did one round, and that's it. So I haven't done anything since. And since then, I've been taking supplements to basically eliminate mRNA from my system, the spike protein. And so far, so good. I haven't picked up any weird diseases. I haven't picked up any accelerated cancer symptoms or anything like that. So I think I may, because Dr. Zelenko, who has passed away, had a protocol to basically eliminate, to take care of the COVID effects. And so we've been very, very religious about taking those supplements. So far, so good. Stamina is better. Mental clarity is by far better because I was in a fog for almost 2 years. I really was. And, I was never that way, but, up to that point. I always had good mental clarity. And so, and then along the way, somewhere along the way, my doctor he says, you have a heart murmur. I said, I do. I've never had one in my life. This was about a year ago. And he had a young physician assistant. He goes, hey, you want to hear a heart murmur? So anyway, I was the guinea pig of the day. But All that means is that's just a noisy valve, right? So that means your heart may be weakening in some respect. The last time I saw him about a month ago, I said, "Well, how's the heart murmur doing?" He goes, let me check. Says, it's there, but I can barely hear it. So I'm thinking, I hope this continues, right? So it seems to me like this is really working out, and I'm very enthusiastic because I'm also on the list for a home healing system, and I should be seeing that whenever they ship out. We're really excited about that. So, uh,
That's awesome, Paul. That's
yeah,
great because I mean, that's a lot, you know? I mean, having cancer, having the blood sugar, and I love how Dr. A says that the frequencies actually remove vectors from our body. So
yes,
vectors can be associated with, what, the thing over there, as well as cancer cells, as well as any type of mycotoxins, molds, any of that, viruses, bacteria. So they're all vectors.
yeah.
So I love hearing that. And did you change your diet at all?
Well, my diet has kind of changed automatically. You know, certain things I just stopped eating, certain things in certain amounts I stopped eating. Of course, my wife is very sensitive to our diet and she cooks accordingly. So, and she says, "Hey, it helps you, it helps me too. I'm not gaining any weight." I said, "Fantastic." So I have found out over the years, just having my experience in meditation, is that you sort of automatically get to where you need to go because the universe kind of supports you on that path. That's exactly what happens. And so I don't go out of my way to find special foods. I know what I have to eat and I know what I shouldn't eat. And if I sin, that's up to me, right? It's on me. And for the most part, because I love food, don't we all? And that was part of my problem my whole life. Fortunately, I'm not obese, but good grief, you know. Uh, but I'm finding out that changing my diet was not a heavy lift, so to speak. It was, it just kind of goes smooth. And all of a sudden, I'm not popping things in my mouth that I used to, and they're not coming on the shelf like they used to be either. So my wife and I are a pretty good team on that one.
Perfect. That should help with both the diabetes and the cancer.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. No
Yeah,
doubt
my
about it.
dad had cancer like 5 times, and I told him so many times, stop eating sugar, Dad. And he said, my doctor said I could eat whatever I want. And he had cancer 5 times until he finally passed.
Goodness
And
gracious.
at chemo, they served cookies and candy and all kinds of garbage over there. And I was just like, I just was so frustrated. But, you can't, the only person you can change is the one in the mirror. So, I just had
Amen.
to let him live his own journey.
Amen. Yeah. The only thing
So,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, you please, Paul.
I said the only thing I order or grab when I'm sitting in the infusion chair is water.
Good. Cheers.
Yeah, I take my own stuff with me.
The water helps with the frequency, right? It helps with the devices.
Yeah, I do. I do. I
And do
keep
you take electrolytes?
I got a big gallon of water I keep with me all the time, half a gallon.
And are you using electrolytes as well?
No,
Okay, that's really recommended is electrolytes, sodium, potassium, magnesium. You can get like packets or tablets or whatever. But electrolytes are really, really important because if you think about our bodies, we're electrical beings. Our hearts run on electrolytes. When you go to the hospital because you're sick, they give you an IV with salt water, with a electrolyte solution.
right.
So, doctors who I work with here have said that we need to have at least electrolytes at least once a day, if not twice.
Oh, that's
So,
not hard to do.
yeah, it's pretty simple to do, and it adds a little flavor to the water if you get
Mhm.
bored. So, the next question is someday, hopefully in the near future, we get to go and have an experience where every one of our cells becomes 30, which Cynthia likes to say it's our do-over. The only
Mhm.
difference, instead of a 30-year-old that doesn't have wisdom, now we get to step into a 30-year-old body with wisdom and experience to apply to it. So what are you going to do with that, Paul?
Well, first off, I think about the background of what this world is going to be like when I get to that spot. And I think it's going to be extremely different than we are today. I think the negative forces on this planet are going to be gone, which means we have an open world to ourselves to do anything we wanted to. But there's going to be a lot of things to fix, repair, remove, and train and teach. Um, I I am not a bad teacher, okay, even though I've never been formally trained. But in my career, I've had to train lots and lots of people as a leader, as a manager, as a project manager. You always have to teach people what to do and in the best way possible so that they can absorb it and understand it. And I've had a lot of feedback that that's a strength of mine. So I think that I'm going to look for, of course, as a teacher, well, in any profession that I might do in that time, it takes stamina. It takes mental clarity, among other things. So to me, that's a perfect opportunity to do some things like that that I never got a chance to do because I got into the IT game in 1972 and became a project manager. And basically, when you're marshaling projects, you don't have time to say, okay, what would I like to do? No, get to retirement or else, one of those kinds of things, right? So yeah, I've got a few things that I would like to do. I don't really think too much about being a 30-year-old because that to me that's a given. I'm there. All right. I'm already there in my head. I've been there for a long time. The problem is that my body's not agreeing with me.
That happens. Yeah.
Yeah. So, this, these cancers were just a total shock to me because that was my wake up call that, hey, you're actually human and mortal. Um, because my wife's father died from what I had because he had it too early when nobody had a cure or nobody even knew how to deal with it.
Aw.
And the fact that it's recurring is really I really don't like that. Nobody cures anything in medicine anymore. They make you a slave to the system, so all you are is a money pump, through their medicines, and you never get cured. That's what's going on. Learned that a long time ago.
Yep, I hear you. But what we have in our hands is so remarkable. And what we have coming down the pipeline, I
Oh,
mean, just imagine if we could share this or if everybody we knew didn't have to even think about that C word, you know, if it wasn't part of anything that we didn't, it wasn't a part of our society.
well, what I was going to say is that, in 10 years, all of this stuff is going to be history. I mean, these diseases are going to be gone. And I have no doubt about that. So to me, QHS gets us over the hump is what happens. And because we will have abilities and professions that we can't even dream about right now. And, uh, anti-gravity vehicles and things like that. And I guarantee you, it's my belief that we'll be tutored by the good ETs that are protecting us right now.
Bring it on. I'm
Yeah,
ready.
I've been ready for that for a long. I've been studying this stuff since 1972. This is like integrated into my life and my wife.
So
So,
are you like on the same page as Alex, kind of?
oh, absolutely. I mean, of course, I was not a special forces soldier like he was, but I did work as a contractor for the U.S. government for the U.S. Navy and went around the world and did stuff myself. So, um, But I followed the path of him and other people. Of course, I was never a contactee like he was. I mean, he experienced it firsthand. But I'm an avid reader on the topic, and I remember the days when my wife and I first got introduced to a guy named Edgar Casey, and that was, he was the sleeping prophet, and you know who he is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were, that got us started, and I mean we bonded on that. We've never looked back, and we started our meditation journey in 1972, and it's been a wonderful experience so far.
Does she have a device? Is she a
Oh
member?
yeah, she has one, but she ended up laundering one of them, and it's probably coming as a replacement. So we have three.
Awesome. Yeah, my husband, his got washed and I stuck it right in rice, like right away, and left it there for about 2 days. And then I went to go plug it in and it went right on. So,
Was it a white one?
uh, I don't remember. I
Yeah.
don't, I don't
She,
remember.
it was in the laundry for a long time. And because she didn't go back right away to pull the laundry out and put it in the dryer, so it had been there most of the day.
Oh, gotcha. Gotcha.
No,
That's a bummer.
it was
Well,
pretty
I'm
much dead.
happy she's on board with you. It's really nice to have couples that are, a team, right? It's so important. So, Paul, will you come back and do another interview after the QARC experience?
Oh, of course. I would be proud to do such a thing. I might even have hair.
Yeah, probably. If you had it when you were 30.
Well, at least I hope so. I mean, I used to have a pretty good head of hair.
That's awesome. Well, I look forward to that day. And I just want to thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me. And I just love hearing wonderful stories like that. So keep
Thank you,
up the good
Teresa.
work.
Looking forward to the next one.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for making this QHS project fly. This valorous admin team, thank you. The Key community welcomes you. Thank you for making your home QHS healthy and happy. Thank you for helping us place QH centers all around the world. Together, hand in hand, we make miracles happen. QuantumHealingSystems.org. Thank you.